Just as I was about to help her manage the crisis, Celine beat me to it, stepping in front of the cameras with the poise of a seasoned politician. "There's no scandal," she said, her voice calm and clear. "Theo and I have been together for 3 years. Last night, he proposed." The words slammed into me like a freight train. "My name is Holden." "Theo, that's the name of her grad student." They stood hand in hand, fingers interlaced like they'd been molded for each other. On her finger gleamed the ring I'd designed just a week ago, a custom-made promise band. She'd told me it was ours. Now it just burned like betrayal. That night, she came home, calm, collected, like nothing had happened. "We're academics, Holden. We can't afford scandal," she said, as if her logic could erase the image of her holding someone else's hand. "Theo is one of my best students. I mentored him. He's not like you, some fame-chasing actor who thrives on gossip and tabloid headlines." Her tone softened when she said his name. I could hear it. See it in her eyes. She looked at the floor, voice low and protective. "He's not built for this kind of public mess. I had to shield him." Then, like an afterthought, no, like a consolation prize, she added, "Once this all blows over, our wedding's still on." "Right." I picked up my phone, scrolling past unread messages until I found Nova's name, the female lead in my current drama series. We'd filmed a kissing scene yesterday. I hit call. "Hey," I said when she answered. "That kiss we shot yesterday felt kinda real, didn't it? Wanna see what happens if we stop pretending?" The custom wedding design Celine had sent over just popped up in my inbox. I hadn't even had time to open it before a news alert lit up my phone, a headline about a professor and her student caught in a scandal. I almost swiped it away, assuming it was another clickbait gossip piece. But my finger froze mid-air. There it was. A grainy, paparazzi-style photo. A woman holding hands with a young man, walking into a hotel late at night. And the woman. I knew her in an instant. Celine. The online comments started rolling in before I could even finish the article. "Oh my God, doesn't that silhouette look exactly like Holden's fiancée? No way. Celine's crazy about him. She wouldn't cheat. Maybe it's just someone who looks like her. Nope. No mistake. You guys forgot, Holden's fiancée is a professor too." Within minutes, Celine's Twitter was a war zone. Hundreds of mentions piling up like wildfire. People were tagging her directly, demanding answers. "Dr. Celine Alden, you're being at D non-stop. Can you clarify whether the woman in that hotel photo with the male student is actually you?" I didn't even need to be there to imagine the look on Celine's face reading that. Jaw clenched, color draining, fingers twitching above the screen. She's always been proud, deeply protective of her image, her career, her identity as a respected academic. She wears her title like armor. And now, that armor was starting to crack. Just as I was bracing myself to step in and clear her name, a new post from Celine appeared. "Thank you all for your concern. Yes, I am the woman in the photo. But let me clarify. Theo may be my student, but he's also my fiancé. We've been together for 3 years. Last night, he proposed. So whatever happened at that hotel is our private matter. Please stop spreading the image. Thank you." Along with the message, she uploaded a photo. 2 hands, fingers intertwined, resting gently in each other's palms. Each wearing a matching ring. The exact same pair of rings I had custom designed for us just a week ago. They gleamed in the photo, sleek platinum bands inset with tiny diamonds. A perfect pair. And now, a perfect betrayal. Just a week ago, Celine and I were still discussing how to use those rings, how they'd be our wedding bands, how we'd exchange them under a white arch, maybe by the sea. She'd tried them on, smiled, said they felt like us. Now one of them was on another man's hand. A hand that wasn't mine. I've been in this industry 7, maybe 8 years now. Long enough to know how to handle scandal, rumors, fake love, broken promises. But Celine was never part of that noise. She was real. She was everything I waited for. It was always her who said, "Not yet, let me build my career first." So I waited. Waited through premieres and afterparties, waited through press tours and her grant applications, waited through silence. And then, last month, she finally said yes. I proposed, she said yes. The wedding was close. I was counting down days. And now this. I bit down hard on the inside of my cheek, willing myself not to cry. My fingers curled into fists so tight, my nails broke skin. The pain was the only thing keeping me from falling apart. My phone lit up again. A message from Liam, my closest friend in this mess of a world. "Holden, what the hell is going on? Has your fiancée lost her damn mind? Go check her Twitter right now. She was literally with you watching a movie last night. And now she's accepting a proposal from someone else." I let out a hollow laugh. One of those bitter, joyless sounds that taste like metal in your mouth. "She must have her reasons," I replied quietly, barely recognizing my own voice. It caught in my throat halfway out. I was choking on everything I couldn't say. Because the truth was, even I couldn't bring myself to believe Celine and Theo spent last night in that hotel just talking about research. And now, the fire had reached my doorstep. My comments section exploded. "Holden, what's going on? Weren't you engaged to the famous Dr. Celine Alden? She's got a dozen academic books and a global lecture circuit. Was this whole engagement just you chasing clout?" Suddenly, I was no longer just collateral damage. I was the villain of someone else's love story. People who'd always had a bone to pick with me were crawling out of the woodwork, seizing their moment. "Told you Holden couldn't act for shit. Man's only good at chasing headlines." Dr. Celine Alden never even publicly confirmed the engagement. Makes you wonder who was lying. Another fame-hungry actor trying to latch onto someone with real value. Celine and that guy Theo actually look like a power couple. I had started typing a response. Something calm. Something mature. A line to explain, to push back, to defend myself. But as my fingers hovered above the screen, the fight drained out of me. I laughed again, softer this time. Just air and heartbreak. Then I set the phone down. What was the point? I stared at the wedding design Celine had sent me. Elegant layouts, ivory florals, candlelit arches. A ceremony built on lies. I sat with it in silence for 2 whole seconds. Then I tore it to pieces. Shredded it with the same hands that once held hers. Because no matter how much I wanted to believe this was a misunderstanding, reality had already dealt its blow. Celine had always carried herself like the perfect academic, ethical, respected, above reproach. And with me, she'd been tender, fiercely loyal, almost protective. She never even allowed herself to be alone with male students. She said it was about boundaries. About optics. About integrity. But now she was the center of a scandal involving one of them. And not just silent, but defending it. I couldn't let it go. If this was the guy she was willing to throw away her career and reputation for, I had to see him with my own eyes. I took a cab to the hotel, the same one from the photo. At the front desk, I lied. Said I'd lost a watch. A gift from my fiancée. Then I slipped the clerk a crisp $500 bill. Money talks. Especially when you look like you're ready to break. It only took a few minutes before the screen flickered on. Surveillance footage, time-stamped from the night before. There she was. Celine. Wrapped around a young man's arm. Her body language intimate, relaxed. They walked through the lobby like a couple on their anniversary. I stopped breathing for a second. I knew him. Theo. I'd seen him once before, maybe a month ago. I remember walking towards Celine's car, opening the door to find a kid in the passenger seat. Couldn't have been older than 23. He looked up at me, caught mid-sentence, startled. "I'm Dr. Celine Alden's student," he'd said quickly. Celine, still behind the wheel, didn't even blink. "He's hopeless," she said with a sigh. "Lost his entire thesis draft before his defense. I'm taking him to print a copy." Sure enough, there was a freshly printed manuscript in Theo's lap. I hadn't questioned it then. She'd always been so clean. So principled. But now, watching them walk into that hotel, her hand resting low on his back. Everything I thought I knew was falling apart. I'd smiled that day. Reached out my hand, calm and easy. "Hey, I'm Holden," I said. "I'm not married to your professor just yet, but it's happening soon. Hope you'll come to the wedding." The kid's eyes lit up. "Wait, Holden, you're the Holden the actor? No way. Could I get an autograph?" He was buzzing, excited like a kid meeting his favorite superhero. We stood there, chatting for a good while, him rattling off my roles, his eyes wide with admiration. I remember thinking, what a sweet kid. Just one of Celine's students, nothing more. Turns out, that was a lie too. Now, back in the surveillance room, my blood had run cold. I just watched the entire video, the full security footage from that night. The one everyone online kept referring to as a professor-student academic discussion. A delivery guy from the pizza place came by, twice. Each time, Celine answered the door herself. In lingerie. And from inside the room, I could clearly hear a man's voice calling out, lazy and familiar. "I just finished showering, come join me." Then Theo appeared, dressed in pajama bottoms, damp hair, bare feet. He didn't even bother closing the door before wrapping his arms around her waist, pulling her into a kiss like he couldn't wait another second. Right there. In the hallway. On camera. Through that grainy black and white feed, I could still see it, Celine's face. The hunger in her eyes. The abandon. The way she clung to him like he was the only thing that existed. And I broke. Tears spilled down before I even noticed I was crying. Because I remembered her holding me the same way. Saying over and over, her breath warm against my ear. "Holden, you're mine." Every time I filmed a kiss scene, she would get possessive. Jealous. Eyes rimmed red, she'd corner me the moment I came home. Push me against the wall. Kiss me like it was war. Like she was staking a claim. And I let her, because I thought it meant something. I thought I meant something. "Did the lead actress from today's kiss scene touch you?" Celine's voice had a teasing lilt, but there was something razor-sharp underneath. "No," I laughed, dodging instinctively. She didn't let go. Instead, she pulled me tighter into her arms, her grip possessive. Her lips found mine, then moved lower, slow, deliberate. Like a fuse being lit. My whole body heated up, skin prickling with electricity. "What about here?" she whispered, her hand sliding down. "And here." I could barely breathe. Then she leaned in, lips brushing my ear, voice like velvet steel. "You're mine, Holden. No one else gets to touch you. Ever." Back then, I believed her. But now. Now it had been 6 months since she touched me at all. Not a kiss. Not a hand on my shoulder. Not even a glance that lingered too long. The Cold War started when I signed on for a new series, a romance. I had a few kissing scenes written into the script. She didn't take it well. Sulking turned into stonewalling. Weeks went by. She barely looked at me, let alone touched me. And when I finally had time off to try and fix things, when I showed up with takeout and a fragile kind of hope, she waved me away with the same excuse, night after night. I'm drowning in thesis drafts, she said, frustrated. These kids write like they've never seen punctuation. It's all garbage. So every night, she locked herself in her study. Until 2, sometimes 3 in the morning. Was she really editing papers? Or was she calling it mentorship while she played house with Theo? Only Celine knows. After returning from the hotel, I couldn't shake the images, the sounds, the lies. So I did something I swore I wouldn't. I contacted one of Celine's colleagues at the university. Made small talk, feigned casual curiosity. And eventually, I got what I needed. Theo's number. I created a burner account. Sent him a message, pretending to be hotel staff. Hello. Thank you for staying with us. As part of our guest appreciation program, we'd love to offer you a small complimentary gift. He replied a minute later, cautious. That's kind of strange. I didn't use my info to book the room. How do you even have my contact? I didn't miss a beat. Our system tracks all check-ins. It automatically logs guest contact details. A lie, smooth and practiced. He went quiet for a few seconds. Then finally. Oh. Okay, sure. His guard dropped. And just like that, I was in. I found his Instagram page, open profile, no privacy settings. Everything laid bare. The most recent post hit me like a punch to the chest. They all said our love would never survive. But she proved them wrong, she made us official. I stared at the screen, unmoving. His words danced in front of me, bold and happy, like someone who'd just won the lottery. Meanwhile, I sat there, alone in my own home, heart bleeding out through every pore. A bitter smile cracked across my face. I couldn't even bring myself to keep scrolling. I stayed in the dark as the day slipped away. Didn't turn on a single light. Just sat there, letting dusk crawl over me like a second skin. Then I heard the door open. Celine walked in, heels clicking against the hardwood. Her perfume hit before she did, strong, heady, unfamiliar. A scent I hadn't smelled on her in months. Holden, she called out softly, her voice slow and sweet like honey dissolving in tea. I love you. I felt her arms snake around me from behind, but the moment her skin touched mine, something inside recoiled. I pulled away, abrupt, instinctual. My brows furrowed before I even realized they had. I couldn't fake it anymore. Not even a little. Aren't you going to explain what happened today? She blinked, surprised by the sudden question. I didn't speak again. Just held up my phone, her now viral Twitter post pulled up for her to see. Celine's pupils flickered, just for a second. She adjusted her glasses and gave a small sigh before offering her version of control. Holden, she began, steady and firm, you of all people should understand. We're academics. Our reputations matter. We can't afford scandal. Her voice was cool, practiced. Like she was giving a conference lecture. Theo is my student. I mentored him from day one. He's not like you. He's not some celebrity trying to stay relevant through gossip. Her eyes softened the moment she said his name. Theo's different. He's a brilliant student. Sensitive. Quiet. He'd never survive this kind of public chaos. I had to protect him. Her words came out like logic, like reason. But all I heard was betrayal, neatly framed. She stood there, so composed, so certain. As if her carefully written post hadn't just thrown me under the bus in front of millions. She knew what she'd done. She knew that last year, for my birthday, she'd hinted at our engagement online. Nothing overt, just enough that fans had put 2 and 2 together. They'd figured it out. That the professor I loved, the woman I was building a future with, was her. Now she'd publicly erased me, rebranded herself as Theo's long-term partner. I clenched my fists, jaw tight, a bitter laugh bubbling out of me. And what about me? My voice was quiet, low, too tired to be angry anymore. I'm allowed to get ripped apart, is that it? Have you even looked at the replies under my posts at what people are saying about me? They think I'm the other man. The clout-chasing idiot who faked a relationship just to boost his career. They're calling me a homewrecker, Celine. They're saying I made it all up to elevate myself by dragging your name through the mud. She exhaled sharply, her patience thinning. That's enough, Holden. But I wasn't finished. I wasn't yelling. I wasn't flailing. I was bleeding, quietly. She softened again, voice dipping into that tone she always used when she needed to keep me still. I know this has been hard on you, really, I do. But this was the only path forward. The media will move on. Once this cools down, the wedding is still on. I promise. I'll fill the venue with your favorite roses. You'll have the grand, beautiful wedding you always wanted. She placed a hand on my shoulder like she'd settled something. Like this conversation was over. Then she turned, grabbed a towel from the cabinet, and disappeared into the bathroom. Like none of it had really mattered. I stared at her back as she disappeared into the bathroom. And something inside me just went still. Cold. There wouldn't be a wedding. Not anymore. Celine. I loved you for 8 years. Even when the world turned on me, when strangers online called me a liar, a leech, I stood by you. Not because you were perfect. But because I believed in love. Real love. Faithful. Undivided. But tonight, I saw you clearly. All this time, you've been rotting underneath the image. And someone like you, someone who throws love away when it's inconvenient, doesn't deserve what I gave you. Doesn't deserve me. I wiped my tears away. Reached for my phone. Dialed a number I'd never imagined calling for anything outside of work. Nova. My co-star. My on-screen romance. The woman I'd shared a kiss with under scripted lights, while cameras rolled. It rang once. Twice. She picked up. Holden, she gasped, breath catching. I could hear her sheets rustling as she bolted upright. You figured it out, she asked, breathless, half in disbelief, half in hope. Her voice was giddy, like someone who just scratched off a winning lottery ticket. You want me to come over, or are you coming here, or? She let the last option dangle, then added with a mischievous little laugh. Or are we going full method and checking into a hotel, like your ex-fiancée did? I paused for a second. Then nodded, even though she couldn't see it. Sure, I said, voice calm. Let's go to a hotel. 30 minutes later, I heard the hum of tires outside my building. Nova's car had pulled up to the curb. Waiting. Celine was still the same. Same nightly ritual. Same rhythms I used to find endearing. After her shower, she slipped into her robe and went straight into her study, like she always did. But this time, the second the door closed behind her, I opened the monitoring app on my phone. The camera feed flickered to life. There she was. Phone propped up on her desk, her video call already in progress. And on the screen. Theo. He grinned, eyes raking over her lazily. Bad professor, he teased, voice thick with flirtation. Can't even wear your robe properly. Are you trying to seduce me with that body? Celine laughed, all soft affection, eyes glowing. And what if I am, she said, coy. It's not like you haven't touched it before. You should be responsible for what's already yours. She leaned closer to the camera, her robe slipping just enough to reveal one bare shoulder. Show me you, she whispered. Where's that 8-pack of yours hiding tonight? The rest of their exchange spiraled fast, uglier, filthier. Words I never imagined would come out of her mouth. Especially not for someone else. I shut the feed. My chest was hollow. At the hotel, Nova and I had just checked in when I noticed the flash of a phone camera in the distance. Someone was following us. Trying to catch a shot. Nova stiffened, her brow creasing in irritation. She started toward them, ready to shut it down. "Don't bother," I said, grabbing her wrist gently. "Let them take whatever they want." She turned to me, baffled. "Are you serious?" she whispered. "What happened to you freaking out about this kind of thing, about Celine seeing it and getting the wrong idea?" I smiled faintly. But it didn't reach my eyes. "There's no need anymore. I used to walk on eggshells around Celine. Always worrying how she'd react, what she'd feel, whether she'd be upset by a tabloid headline or a careless tweet. Unless the rumors were part of a calculated PR move, I avoided gossip like the plague, for her. Because I thought her peace of mind mattered. Because I thought we mattered. But now I didn't care anymore." Sure enough, the next morning, the internet exploded. Photos of me and Nova, hand in hand as we left the hotel, were plastered across every gossip site, headline, and trending hashtag. We were the new scandal. And Celine. She was livid. She stormed into my apartment like a hurricane, her fury palpable. "Holden," she spat, voice trembling with rage, "was this your way of getting back at me? You weren't filming yesterday. You weren't on set. So what the hell were you doing checking into a hotel with her?" I didn't flinch. Didn't blink. Just looked up at her with a steady gaze, cold and unmoved. "Nova and I were running lines," I said, casually lifting an eyebrow. "You know. Studying the script." Her mouth twitched. Then she let out a sharp, cruel laugh. Like I'd just told the world's most insulting joke. "You think I'm stupid," she snapped, her voice slicing through the air. "A hotel room at night, you expect me to believe you were just studying lines?" Her hands shot out, grabbing at the collar of my shirt, yanking it open. She was frantic, clawing at me like she was looking for proof, scratches, hickeys, guilt. She'd always been like this. Possessive. Suspicious. Controlling. Even after I'd won Best Actor. Even when my name was headlining every streaming service. In her mind, I was still hers. Still something she owned. Still her accessory. I shoved her back, firm and final. My eyes didn't waver. "Why not?" I asked, voice low and even. "Why can't you believe me? You, a full professor, can take a male student to a hotel and call it academic discussion. So why can't I take my co-star to a hotel to discuss a script?" The silence that followed was deafening. For once, she didn't have an answer. The moment she heard the bite in my voice, Celine's expression hardened. "Holden." Her voice cracked like a whip, sharp, trembling with outrage. "Are you trying to provoke me? I already told you, Theo and I were at that hotel to work on his academic paper. It was professional. We were doing serious, intellectual work. Not whatever filthy nonsense you were off chasing." Then her eyes dropped. To my neck. Where the faint red mark of Nova's mouth still lingered, raw and unapologetic. Her gaze went cold. Dead cold. "That's what you call script study," she hissed. Her fingers clamped down on my shoulder, nails digging in deep enough to leave marks, veins bulging from the back of her hand. Her voice dropped to a snarl. "You and that woman couldn't even wait, huh? All that screen chemistry just wasn't enough, you had to rush straight into bed like animals." I stared at her face, growing paler by the second, lips bloodless, trembling with rage. And I laughed. A slow, cruel laugh that didn't reach my eyes. "Oh, come on," I said, voice cool and mocking. Aren't we technically still unmarried? Didn't you say we're both free agents until vows are exchanged? You said that, I added, leaning in. You said, don't guilt me, I'm free to do what I want. We're not married yet. Those were her words. Back when I'd asked where she was night after night. Back when she'd stopped coming home, and I finally had the nerve to question it. She'd tossed them at me like a shield. And now? Now it was my turn. What's wrong, Celine? I asked softly, my smile widening. It was all good when you were out there screwing around, but now that the shoe's on the other foot, you're outraged. God, I whispered, voice curving into something dark. You're shameless. She flinched like I'd slapped her. And I didn't stop. Didn't want to stop. The rage I'd swallowed for weeks boiled up, sharp and electric. I grabbed my collar and yanked it open further, revealing more of the crimson bruises blooming across my skin. Her handiwork, she'd called them once. But not anymore. Yeah, I said, almost laughing now. I slept with someone else. In a hotel. Just like you did. She's younger than you. Hotter. More alive. I took a step forward, eyes locked on hers. And she doesn't pretend to love me while f***ing her student behind my back. My voice was pure venom, laced with the kind of cruelty that doesn't just cut, it infects. Honestly, poor Theo, I said, smirking. He's got his whole life ahead of him, young, full of options, and he settles for you. What a waste. A gorgeous kid like that, and he's stuck with an aging woman clinging to her last bit of control. Really. Holden, shut your damn mouth. Celine's scream tore through the room. The veins in her neck were bulging, her face twisted with rage. She raised her fist, for a moment truly ready to hit me. I didn't move. Didn't even blink. We both knew it. If she landed that punch, our 8 years would officially be over. Dead and buried. In the end, she turned and slammed her fist into the wall behind me instead. The sound was sickening. Bone against plaster. I looked down. Her hand was a mess, skin torn, blood already streaking her wrist. But she didn't care. Didn't even look at it. You're really something, Holden, she spat, clutching her coat with her uninjured hand. So proud of yourself, huh? Then she stormed out, slamming the door hard enough to rattle the frame. I didn't follow her. Didn't worry. Because I already knew where she was going. 10 minutes later, right on cue, Theo's Instagram lit up with a new story. That awful man hurt my baby again. He's old and disgusting, still clinging to someone he doesn't deserve. And now her hand is injured because of him. I hate him. The caption sat above a filtered photo, Theo's delicate, pale hand gently wrapping a bandage around Celine's bruised and bloody knuckles. A perfect little martyr act. I stared at it, lips twitching into a grim, joyless smile. Then I left a comment. You two really do make a perfect pair, equal parts shameless and pathetic. Don't worry, she won't have a fiancé much longer. Wishing you both a lifetime of lies, cheating, and matching trauma. Congrats in advance. Right after I posted my comment, Theo blew up in the replies. What the hell is your problem, you idiot hotel clerk? Stay in your damn lane. You don't know a thing about us. I stared at his username, his rage leaking through every typoed word. And I laughed. A low, tired laugh. Then I hit delete. Blocked him without another thought. I'd never once gone through Celine's phone. Never touched her laptop. Never checked her messages. 8 years. Not once. But the night I came back from the hotel, something in me cracked open. I opened everything. I needed to know, when did it start? When did she begin slipping away? When did her heart stop being mine? That's when I found the folder. It sat innocently on her desktop, tucked between class notes and research articles. labeled simply love. I clicked. Inside were thousands of photos. All of Theo. Sleeping. Smiling. Shirtless in bed. Reading. Laughing into her lens. Unposed, intimate, private. Captured with the kind of quiet devotion you can't fake. There was no, just academic, explanation for this. No mentorship reason to photograph someone like that. This was obsession. Adoration. Love. And not for me. My throat tightened as I scrolled. Because suddenly I remembered all the trips Celine and I had taken together. Vacations over spring break. Getaways during downtime between projects. I'd ask for a picture and she'd sigh, snap one or two half-hearted shots, then brush it off. "You're too good-looking," she'd say with a wave of her hand. "Doesn't matter how I shoot it, you'll look great anyway." And that would be it. Year after year, trip after trip. No keepsakes. No memories. Nothing but blurry smiles and cropped-out eyes. Now I understood. It wasn't laziness. It wasn't her being bad with cameras. She just didn't care enough to see me. Not the way she saw him. Love, or the lack of it, isn't always loud. Sometimes, it's just a quiet difference in how many photos you're willing to take. She'd told me about Theo before. Back when he was just a name, a face in one of her stories. She said he was sweet, naive, even. A boy who didn't seem like he belonged in this decade. Too soft. Too pure. She once called him a rabbit. Said he reminded her of something fragile and harmless. She told me, laughing, how he'd once tossed away his umbrella during a downpour. Just so he could dance barefoot in the rain, soaking wet in his white Converse sneakers. Celine had watched him, stunned. She was 30 when she met him. A heart already calloused by the world, eyes no longer surprised by anything. But Theo made her feel something. She said being around him awakened her instinct to protect. With me, though. It was different. With me, all she saw was risk. Temptation. She used to joke, half serious, that every time she looked at my face, she imagined all the women I must have kissed that day. All the hands that might have touched me. No wonder she never saw me as hers. Not fully. I stood in front of our wine cabinet. The one we'd stocked together over the years. Every bottle labeled for a future moment. Engagement party. Wedding toast. First anniversary. Moments that would never come. I started with a pour. Then a gulp. Then I smashed the rest. One by one. The glass shattered like promises across the hardwood floor. By the time I stopped, the room looked like a war zone. And maybe it was. Only then did I pick up my phone. Only then did I send her a message. "We're done. The engagement is over. I never want to see you again." That night, I packed a single suitcase and checked into a hotel. And the next morning, I walked into City Hall, documents in hand. Nova was with me. She didn't ask questions. She just smiled, slipped her hand into mine, and followed me inside. We applied for a marriage license. And Nova. She lit up like it was Christmas morning. Dialed her parents before we even left the building. Started planning the guest list, the flowers, the dress. And in true Nova fashion, she took it one step further. She opened Twitter and posted to her millions of followers. "To my husband, let's write a beautiful life together. At Holden." The post went instantly viral. A new firestorm ignited. And the entire entertainment industry held its breath. No way, am I seeing this right, that rising young actress actually married Holden? Are you kidding me? The Holden Oscar-winning, red carpet walking, doesn't look at anyone twice Holden. The internet lost its mind. My timeline flooded with disbelief, applause, and chaos. But some of my fans. They knew. So much for those idiots saying he was clout-chasing some professor. Holden doesn't need anyone. He's the damn prize. Elsewhere, the news hadn't reached everyone quite as warmly. Inside her office, Celine was hunched over a stack of papers, red pen in hand, furiously editing a thesis that, by the look on her face, she already hated. Theo lounged across the couch, barefoot, relaxed, scrolling his phone like he had nowhere in the world to be. Until he didn't. He sat up suddenly, brows lifting as he stared at the screen. "Whoa," he said slowly. "Holden dumped you." Celine didn't look up. "He just married some young actress." Celine finally lifted her head. Glanced over, nonchalant. And laughed. Short. Sharp. Dismissive. "He's an actor, Theo," she said, rolling her eyes. "This is literally his job. Putting on a show is what he does. This is just another scene." She went back to editing, flipping to the next page without a flicker of concern. "It's tabloid bait. Ignore it." Because in her mind, none of it was real. She'd watched me love her for 8 years, devoted, patient, endlessly forgiving. She thought that kind of loyalty didn't break. She thought she still owned the last piece of my heart. And the idea that I'd walked away. That I'd actually left. That was impossible. Unthinkable. Unreal. Because Celine had always believed that no matter what she did, I would stay. Still unaware of how far gone it really was, Celine had the nerve to sit back with Theo and wax poetic about our love story. She told him about the car accident. How she'd been rushed to the ER in the middle of the night, body bruised, ribs cracked, spirit broken. And how I never left her side. How I sat by her hospital bed for days, red-eyed, sleepless, feeding her soup, changing her bandages, reading her papers aloud just so she wouldn't fall behind at work. Her voice softened as she spoke, almost wistful. But Theo didn't look impressed. He blinked at her, face clouding with irritation. "Did you forget what you told me yesterday?" he asked, his voice sharp. "That Holden slept with another woman. That he checked into a hotel with her. That he betrayed you." Theo's voice cracked, and his lip trembled as he clutched her arm like a child about to be left behind. "You said you were done with him. You said you were tired of him. You said I made you feel young again. That I'm the one you love." His eyes reddened with tears he was too proud to let fall. Celine didn't answer right away. She stared at the floor, lips pressed tight. Then slowly, her gaze drifted to the framed photo on her desk. It was me. Laughing in the snow outside a cabin we'd rented one New Year's Eve. Her eyes lingered. Then she spoke, her tone lower, more tired than before. "Theo, you don't understand. The world isn't that simple when you're an adult. I don't love Holden anymore," she admitted. "But we've been together for 8 years." She turned to the window, her eyes distant. "Do you know how rare that is? How few people make it through 8 years of anything?" Her voice dropped to a murmur. "And when his parents passed away, I made them a promise. I swore I'd take care of him. That he wouldn't be alone. I know he slept with someone else. But that's not really his fault. The entertainment industry is messy. He's just confused right now. When the dust settles, he'll come back. He always does." But what Celine didn't know, what she refused to see, was that even Theo could tell. This time, Holden wasn't coming back. "You really don't understand men at all," Theo muttered, eyes cast low. His voice was quiet, almost gentle, but not without edge. "When someone's disappointed long enough, they leave." He paused, then added softly, "Maybe you should just go talk to Holden. While you still can. Celine's expression tensed. She didn't like that. Didn't like being told she was wrong. Especially not by the boy who was supposed to adore her unconditionally. She waved it off with a frown and forced a change in tone. Don't bring him up. She stood abruptly, smoothing out her blouse, then reached down to ruffle Theo's hair like a mother appeasing a sulking child. Now, did you finish your paper revisions? I'll take you out tonight. Movie and barbecue, my treat. That night, Nova and I were seated in the private screening room of a boutique cinema, nestled comfortably into the plush leather seats. The lights were dim, the room quiet except for the soft hum of dialogue on the screen. And then, Holden. A voice cut through the dark like a slap. I turned, instinctively. Celine stood frozen at the aisle entrance, stunned, popcorn in one arm, designer bag slipping off her shoulder. Her eyes were wide with disbelief, her breath caught in her throat. Behind her stood Theo. Awkward, startled, visibly uncomfortable. Celine's voice rose, trembling. Holden, what are you doing here? You haven't come home in days. I didn't know where you were. The popcorn and bag slipped from her arms, crashing to the carpet unnoticed. She rushed forward, reaching for me like nothing had changed. But Nova moved first. She stood smoothly, stepping in front of me, blocking Celine's advance with the calm poise of someone who knew exactly how to hold a scene. I'm sorry, do you know this man? Nova asked, cocking her head, voice cool as glass. You look like such a composed woman with those glasses and that professor vibe. And here you are, grabbing strangers in public. Celine's eyes narrowed. Recognition hit like a bullet. She knew Nova. Knew the face. Knew the name. My scandalous co-star. The woman who had, allegedly, stolen her fiancé. Any trace of civility vanished. Her voice went sharp. This has nothing to do with you, she snapped. Back off. Holden is my boyfriend. Step aside. But then Celine's eyes dropped. And that's when she saw it. The matching outfits. Nova and I were wearing couples loungewear, simple, elegant, unmistakably coordinated. Her face twisted. The color drained, then rushed back all at once. Jealousy flared in her expression like a match striking dry wood. You're matching clothes with her. Her voice cracked with disbelief. Then sharpened into something brittle and furious. For 8 years, I'd quietly hoped for that simple, stupid thing. Just once, I wanted to know what it felt like to wear something matching with the person I loved. To walk down the street and not have to hide. To be claimed. But every time I brought it up, Celine would flinch. Hesitate. Then shut it down. She always said the same thing. Holden, you're a public figure. You need to protect your image. What if someone recognizes us? If a reporter sees us wearing matching clothes, it'll become a headline. It could damage your career. She made it sound like she was protecting me. But I knew better. She just didn't want to be seen with me. She didn't want us to be real. So eventually, I stopped asking. Stopped hoping. And I let that small, quiet desire die. But not anymore. Now. I didn't have to ask permission. I didn't have to hide. Because Nova and I weren't hiding anything. We were married. Public. Legal. Unapologetically visible. And for the first time in years, I could do exactly what I wanted, without factoring in anyone else's insecurities. I said nothing as Celine fumed. She tried to reel it back, slipping on the mask of reason, the same old script she always reached for. Her voice lowered, laced with manipulation. Holden, what is this? You tired of the industry? Is this you spiraling, stirring up fake gossip just to stay relevant? Her tone went softer, cold, but coaxing. Let's just go home. I'll pretend none of this ever happened. But I laughed. Soft. Mean. She flinched. You don't have a phone, I asked. You haven't seen the news. Or maybe you've been too busy playing house with your favorite student to notice. I lifted my hand. Let the diamond on my ring finger catch the light. Her face went pale. I'm married, I said flatly, my voice clear and calm enough to echo through the theater's hush. I'm wearing matching clothes with my wife, I added, gesturing toward Nova without even looking at her. What's the problem? And when you say, go home, which home are you referring to? I gave her a polite, deliberate smile. Because my home is with my wife now. Wherever she is. So thanks, I added, tilting my head, but I don't really need you worrying about when I'll be back. Celine's hands curled into fists. Her whole frame trembled, not from heartbreak, but humiliation. From losing control. And now. Now people were watching. Rows of eyes turned toward us, sensing drama in the air like animals before a storm. Celine took a deep breath, tried to shrink her voice, as if volume could save her dignity. Stop this, she hissed through clenched teeth. Everyone staring. Then her tone switched, trying for old familiarity. You think saying all this is gonna make me believe it? You've said you were leaving before, every time we fought, you'd throw around words like break up and cancel the wedding, but you never meant it. She scoffed, the sound sharp and bitter. You of all people should know, say something often enough, and no one takes it seriously anymore. Her eyes dragged over me like a judge ready to sentence. Cold. Superior. Come on, Holden. You're an actor. You think I don't know your type? She smirked, voice laced with cruel amusement. You flirt with every woman you work with. Your reputation's already in the gutter. Let's be real, if you don't marry me, who else would put up with that mess? And her. She tossed her chin toward Nova like she was flicking away trash. That girl isn't your future. She's your rebound. She's with you because you're shiny and pretty and conveniently available. Once she's bored, once the novelty wears off, she'll move on to some age-appropriate boy and leave you choking on regret. She should have stopped there. But she didn't. Because Celine never knew when to stop. And before she could finish her sentence, Nova's fist came flying. Fast. Direct. And with all the rage of a woman done watching someone she loves get dragged through the dirt. You manipulative old witch, Nova snapped, voice sharp as glass. You really think you can come here, talk trash about me, and pull him back with guilt and pity? Dream on. I chased Holden for years. Years. You think I'm just gonna step aside now because you decided you're not done controlling him? She didn't wait for a response. Her fist slammed forward again. And again. Celine tried to shield herself, but she couldn't keep up. She was older now, slower, less steady than she used to be. Within seconds, her glasses were knocked clean off her face, bouncing once, then getting crushed beneath the shuffle of theatergoers trying to back away from the scene. A sharp crack echoed as one lens shattered under someone's heel. Celine fell to her knees, disoriented. Her hands scraped across the carpeted floor. My glasses, where are my glasses? She mumbled, groping blindly. To a professor with a prescription that strong, losing her glasses was like losing vision itself. But Nova. Nova wasn't done. Her fists came down in a flurry, each one landing like a punctuation mark. Until. Stop. Stop. Theo's voice cracked in panic. He darted forward, arms flailing. I believe you, okay, he shouted, looking straight at me. I believe you're really married. This isn't a stunt, I get it. It's my fault. I should have stopped Celine, I should have never let her confront you. Just let her go, please. He was trembling, trying to position himself between Nova and Celine's curled-up form. "And you're a celebrity," he added desperately. "If someone recognizes you, this'll be all over the headlines tomorrow." I turned to him slowly, letting my eyes scan him from head to toe. Theo. The sweet-faced, rain-dancing grad student. The same boy Celine used to call innocent. But standing here now, trying to reason, to de-escalate, to spin. He was sharper than he looked. No wonder he'd outpaced every other student in Celine's orbit. No wonder she'd fallen so hard. Still, he was in way over his head. I gave him a slow, cold smile. "You're not as simple as you look," I said. "Smart. Calculating." I turned, looked at Nova, who still had fire in her breath, but now stood quietly behind me. I reached for her hand. "Babe, that's enough." Nova blinked up at me. And just like that, she melted. Slipping behind me, wrapping her arms around my arm like a kitten curling into a blanket. Calm. Soft. As if the woman who just wrecked a university professor in a movie theater had never existed. I let out a slow, deliberate smile. "Theo," I said, my voice smooth but razor-sharp, "just so we're clear, this is only because you asked. I'm sparing her for you. But next time, if your woman comes at me again, acting like that." I leaned in slightly, my eyes cold. "I won't stop her from getting knocked down again. Once for every time she tries." Needless to say, the movie ended in chaos. The tension had poisoned everything. With Celine still lingering somewhere in the building, the air itself felt tainted. Heavy. So I took Nova's hand, and we left. We drove across the city, straight to a private theater I reserved when I needed peace. No fans. No whispers. No ghosts. As we settled into the plush seats, I glanced down at her hand. "Your knuckles okay?" I asked, crouching slightly to get a better look. She held them up like a trophy. Red. A little warm to the touch. But not a scratch. Resilient as hell. "For how many hits you landed," I muttered. I expected some damage. Nova didn't answer right away. She was too busy staring at me with that wide, unfiltered adoration in her eyes. The kind you think only exists in fiction, until someone actually looks at you like that. Then she smiled. A slow, dreamy grin tugging at the corners of her mouth. "Having a husband feels so good," she whispered, almost like a secret. I rolled my eyes, grinning despite myself. "Can you not say that like we're starring in a soap opera?" But before I could say more, she dove into my arms, laughing, pressing her face into my shoulder. "I am being serious," she murmured against me. "Husband. My husband. You have no idea how long I waited for this." I pulled back just slightly, just enough to breathe. She wasn't wrong. It hadn't started yesterday. Nova had joined our cast 3 years ago. She was fresh then, gorgeous, obviously, but more than that, she had something rare. She worked hard, never complained, always cheerful even when she was barely on screen. But no matter how many productions she auditioned for, somehow, she only ever ended up back in my shows. Background roles. Extra scenes. Bit parts. 3 years of that. And she never once asked for more. That's when I started paying attention. 3 years, huh? I teased, leaning back a little. That's what you've been waiting. Nova shook her head solemnly, lifting a finger. No, she corrected. 1,195 days. Her tone was dead serious, like she'd rehearsed it. Then she smiled, one of those soft, private smiles that lived in memory. She turned to me, eyes sparkling as she began. "You remember the first time we met? Your first day on that desert shoot. You were out there under the blazing sun, sleeves rolled up, arms and legs scraped raw, shooting the same fight sequence over and over. I watched you take hit after hit like it didn't hurt. Like pain was just part of the job. She exhaled slowly, eyes distant for a moment. That kind of discipline, it shook me. She turned back, a playful glint surfacing. I made a bet with one of the other extras. Told her, that boy's gonna make it big. Big enough to melt Hollywood. Just watch. She grinned. And I won. Then, as if it were the most natural thing in the world, she peeled an orange, split one half, and held it out to me. I took it. Her hand smelled faintly of citrus and warmth. That day, she said softly, I knew I'd be drawn to you. So I stayed close. Got into your orbit. Quietly. I laughed under my breath. My mind wandered back to those long studio days. All those kiss scenes. I'd been oddly satisfied with how they turned out, truth be told, more than satisfied. But Nova. She kept asking for retakes. Over and over again. Always claiming she couldn't find the right emotion. Looking back now, I could see the game. She'd played it well. I reached out and flicked her forehead with my finger. You little scam artist. So that's why we had to shoot the same damn scene 6 times. You were trying to steal kisses on company time. Nova let out a shameless little giggle. Guilty. She leaned in with a smirk. And honestly, I did my homework. I found out you had a fiancée. So I had to play a little dirty. How else was I supposed to break through that wall and get a shot at the throne? Then her voice dropped to a whisper, honey smooth. Good thing you left the gate wide open. Her eyes burned brighter then, not with mischief, but with something more dangerous. Conviction. Celine never deserved you, she said bluntly. That woman let a man like you slip through her fingers. She had her chance. She wasted it. She lost. And that's on her. I didn't say much after that. Just smiled. Let the silence wrap around us. Because deep down, I knew she was right. But sometimes, when the fire goes out, you don't dance on the ashes. You just walk away. I thought it would destroy me. I really did. For a long time, I believed that walking away from someone who'd been part of my life for 8 years, someone who had shaped the very rhythm of my 20s, would leave a hole I couldn't fill. I expected sleepless nights. Chest-tightening regret. Maybe even collapse. But the truth surprised me. I felt nothing. No ache. No grief. Just relief. Especially every time I replayed those surveillance videos. Watching Celine flirt, lie, manipulate with her student. Watching her body say one thing while her voice said another. Each clip was like peeling off a scab and realizing the skin beneath had already healed. I didn't feel broken. I felt lucky. Lucky I saw it in time. Lucky I walked away. In the days that followed, the calls came. From her. Endless calls. Celine tried to sound composed, like nothing had changed. Her tone still perched on that same pedestal she always stood on, aloof, authoritative, like she was giving me a chance to correct my mistake. I know what I said that day was too harsh. That's on me. But do you really think you're any better flirting in public with some actress, like that makes you clean? Let's not pretend your fame isn't built on gossip. You live off those rumors. So don't act like you're above it. Anyway, I've decided not to hold it against you. Just come home. We can forget any of this ever happened. I stared at the message transcript for a long moment. Then I laughed, quiet, joyless. And hit delete. Blocked her, completely. Celine had always carried herself like the crown jewel of academia. Respected. Revered. Untouchable. She wore her title like armor and treated everyone else as though they were footnotes in her lecture. But that didn't mean the rest of us had to kneel. Not anymore. A few days later, out of nowhere, a video dropped on YouTube. Someone, no one knew who, had filmed the entire movie theater incident. From the moment Celine stormed into the second Nova's fist connected. The footage wasn't shaky phone cam chaos. It was clean, centered, and almost cinematic in how well it captured the tension, the dialogue, the shift in power. It blew up instantly. Clips went viral on TikTok, headlines followed, and soon #HoldenTruth trended across platforms. The comments section below the full video was a battlefield. Wait, what? So Celine was the original fiancée and her student was the other man? This is messier than any drama he's ever filmed. Props to Holden. Found out his fiancée cheated, ended the engagement on the spot, and married someone else the next day. That's king behavior. I always felt he was different. Not just on screen. This confirms it. Honor, clarity, spine, he's the real deal. For a moment, I just watched the comments pour in, one after another. And then, one caught my eye. Okay, but, did no one notice the actress was the first one to throw a punch? That girl's got issues. Bet she's just as toxic. I moved my fingers to type a reply. But before I could even tap the screen, more comments flew in, fierce, loyal, and loud. Are you blind? Celine literally walked in picking a fight. Nova was defending her man. Respect. Nova didn't just defend him. She looked at him like he hung the stars. That wasn't violence, that was protection. God, I've never seen anyone look at their partner like that. I want a Nova in my life. Please, universe. Please. I smiled despite myself. But not everyone was smiling. Celine saw the video too. She watched her meltdown go viral. Watched strangers analyze her body language, her arrogance, the fall from grace she didn't think possible. And she snapped. She tried calling me. Tried texting, emailing, even messaging my agent. She wanted the video taken down. Wanted to bury it. Silence it. Threatened legal action. But there was one problem. She couldn't reach me. She couldn't reach anyone. Because I was gone. Erased from her contact list. Blocked from my life like a spam number that no longer mattered. She waited for me at the park. The one I always went to when I needed quiet. When I needed to breathe. She was standing near the path, pacing like a stray dog unsure where to run. Disheveled. Pale. Eyes sunken with fatigue. It looked like she hadn't slept in days. When she spotted me, she rushed forward, voice trembling with rage barely disguised as desperation. How could you? She hissed. Are you really trying to destroy me? She was shaking, half from nerves, half from fury. You have to take that video down. Do you hear me? If you don't, I swear to God, Holden, I'll make you pay. I didn't stop walking. Didn't blink. Just brushed past her, cold and quiet. Laughed under my breath. Then go ahead, I said. Let's see what you've got left to throw. I turned and walked away. Behind me, her voice cracked, splintering into something feral. She shouted after me. Screamed, actually. Like a wounded animal trying to claw her dignity back out of the dirt. But I didn't turn around. Later, I found out the full story. What she'd really been dealing with. What had driven her to that park, to that state. The university had launched a formal investigation. Someone had tipped them off, likely a student who recognized Theo, or maybe even Theo himself trying to preempt the fallout. Their policy was ironclad. No relationships between faculty and students. Period. Now, Celine and Theo were both under review. And the school had made it clear. One of them was going to take the fall. Either Theo would be expelled, or Celine would lose her position. When it came time to choose, she didn't hesitate. She picked her job. She picked herself. "You promised me," Theo said, voice shaking. He stood in the middle of her apartment, eyes red, heartbreaking in real time. "You said, no matter what, you'd protect me. You told me you'd fight for me. That I was worth it." Celine's expression didn't change. Her voice was clinical. Detached. Dead. "Let's not rewrite history. You were the one who came after me, Theo. You knew what you were doing. And if you get expelled, fine. I'll help you enroll somewhere else." She looked at him like she was solving a problem, not talking to someone who had loved her. "But if I lose my job, I can't support you. I can't support myself. And I certainly can't love anyone when I'm struggling to survive." That was the moment it all clicked for Theo. The tears came fast, silent at first, then sobs. Because the truth was no longer hiding behind affection or promises. He saw her now. Clearly. Not as the brilliant, damaged professor who once made him feel seen. But as a woman who loved power more than people. "You were a terrible person all along," Theo sobbed, tears streaking down his cheeks. "I must have been blind to ever fall for you." He didn't wait for her reply. He just ran. And the very next day, the university made it official, Theo was expelled. Celine had chosen herself. Again. But she wasn't done with revenge. A few days later, she made her move. Out of nowhere, intimate photos and videos of me, ones I'd once trusted her with, suddenly surfaced online. Exclusive Holden exposed. Uncensored private footage leaked. Click now before it's gone. The post spread like wildfire. For 10 minutes, the internet burned. And then, gone. Wiped clean. Celine barely had time to blink. She didn't even know what hit her. Because every single image, every file, every link, had been buried under legal firepower in minutes. "Nova's doing. You thought you could hurt my husband," she said, ice dripping from her voice. "I'll make sure you lose everything." That's when I found out the truth. The girl who spent 3 years playing background roles in my dramas wasn't some struggling actress. Nova was the daughter of one of the largest investment backers in the entertainment industry. She didn't need fame. She chose to chase me. And the second she had my last name, she chose to protect me. Within hours, Celine's academic reputation collapsed. Whispers became statements. Allegiances shifted. No one in the inner academic or cultural circles wanted their name attached to hers. She came to see me the day after she filed for bankruptcy. Her voice was raw. Eyes hollow. "I messed up," she said, voice trembling. "You know how much I loved you. Just one more chance, Holden. Please. That little starlet can't give you what I gave you. She's just a face. A body. She doesn't know you like I do." I looked at her for a moment. Then stepped around her. "Excuse me," I said flatly. "You're blocking the way." Her face darkened with rage and humiliation. But I didn't look back. Didn't break stride. Later, I handed her photo to my crew. Her. "If she ever shows up at the set again, don't engage. Don't ask questions. Just escort her out." My new drama launched the following week. Thanks to Nova's media pull and network influence, it soared. Within days, it topped national viewership. Within weeks, we were collecting awards. Celine tried again. Emails. Letters. Even tried contacting my mother's former friend. She begged. Pleaded. Apologized. But I never responded. Not once. Because some things don't get second chances. Some endings don't need closure. And some people. They burn the bridge, drown the river, and still wonder why you never came back.